Well, look, I want to talk about narratives, and I want to tell you the next crypto narrative that's gonna 100x your investment. No, I'm not. So that would be a lie.
This is a working DeFi protocol on Solana with a points program, and you can get exposure to it and start earning XP right now.
The 2026 FIFA World Cup is 6 months away. And this is the time when friend tokens really start heating up. So I'm not saying the same thing's gonna happen this time, but the likelihood is great because...
Well, hello everybody and welcome to DGR. This is Don't Get Rekt. Crypto is full of noise. Most people just ape and pray. We don't. We test airdrops, new coins, pre-sales and passive income plays ourselves, and then we tell you what works and what doesn't so that you don't get wrecked. I'm Al, and I'm joined by Mo. Hello, Mo. How are you doing?
Yeah, not too bad. The market's looking bullish again, so I'm definitely not too bad. How are you doing?
Man, I'm happy. My silver bag is pumping, my gold bag is pumping, and my Bitcoin bag is pumping. Is Bitcoin becoming a safe haven asset? Is it becoming a hedge against inflation the way the metals are, or is it still disconnected, do you think?
Well, look, it's still hard to say for sure because Bitcoin has been switching back and forth, not just in terms of price, but in terms of how it's been acting. So if you look at the market now, we are kind of back at 96K, which is like almost a 2-month high. And it's important to ask how we got here. So we were stuck in the 88 to 91,000 range for quite a long time. Christmas, New Year, a lot happened. So we were stuck there. But then I think when we're talking right now, on January 12th, the US CPI data came out, which showed that US inflation is still rising, but at a much slower pace than it did previously. So the cost of living is getting more bearable for the Americans and for their economy, and that's big because that's when people actually start to look into investment. They start to look into investing into gold and silver at the stock market. That's where we see gold and silver and other precious metals hitting all-time high. And that's why Bitcoin has started to recover, but at a much slower pace. Now, another narrative is that the geopolitical tension, especially between the US, Iran, Venezuela, Russia is involved. A lot of these tensions are really heating up, so much so that there are World War III fears. Logical or not, but there are massive geopolitical conflict and fears going on. And when this happens, we've seen in previous conflicts, after a period of volatility, assets like Bitcoin, which has a larger market cap, they tend to go up slowly, and then they keep racking up, and ultimately they become like a hedge against this massive event. So yes, it's really important that you look at the market with the lens of volatility. It's still highly risky. We can go from fear to greed and then to extreme fear very quickly. We've seen that happen. So if I was investing myself, my go-to strategy would be dollar cost averaging, and that means investing into the assets a set amount of my disposable income every month, regardless of what the price point is, and that amount should be what I am willing to lose. So it shouldn't be a massive amount. So DCA is always the safe investment strategy that analysts and economists suggest at times of extreme volatility and uncertainty. So if you're looking to get into the market right now, it's still very risky, but if you're going to do it with a more cautious approach, DCA is definitely the best bet. So that was the market. But if you are looking into what's the best assets to invest in, I would definitely say diversify your portfolio. Look into gold, silver. They're doing really good. They will most likely keep doing good because of the world economy. And I definitely love crypto, but I suggest you also diversify alongside crypto. So that's kind of my 2 cents on this. What do you think, Alex?
Yeah, well, if Bitcoin's digital gold, something has to be digital silver. Is it Ethereum or is it Solana? I'm going to say right now that it's Solana because that's what I want to talk about next. Because today we're going to talk about an airdrop opportunity on Solana. Now, when Mo talks about diversifying, remember that you can diversify within crypto as well, right? So you can be a 99% Bitcoin maxi, or you can have some ETH and some Sol. I think Sol's going to do great. I know it's trading a little bit lower than its all-time highs, right? But what goes down must come up, maybe? Who knows? Regardless, new projects are coming up on Solana all the time, and airdrops remain a great opportunity to earn in exchange for your time and your effort and your energy, not necessarily your money, right? The crypto has created opportunities for us to earn simply by showing up, becoming part of a community, and testing products. Now, this airdrop will require a little bit of existing capital. It would be very useful for this particular airdrop if you have some Solana or some stable coins on Solana already. I want to talk to you today about Hylo. We've written you a lovely guide on positioning for the Hylo airdrop, but I'm just going to talk through it quickly now, what it is and how to get eligible for the coming drop. Now, first and foremost, a points program exists, right? So sometimes people don't directly confirm an airdrop, but they run a points program or a rewards program. And what we see is that almost always translates into token rewards at a certain point in time. So head on over to Hylo, enter the app, connect your wallet, and what you're going to find is that there are a couple of ways to start earning XP. And at certain XP milestones, you're going to get badges, which are a little bit like achievements. I suspect they will also be airdrop multipliers, right? So once you've connected your wallet, there's a couple of different paths to getting eligible for this drop. What I would recommend if you're bullish on Solana is you can mint their XSOL token, which is a leveraged, staked version of Sol. The leverage is typically between 2 and 3x. So it's going to provide you more exposure to price increases and decreases. Now, that sounds scary, but you can't actually get liquidated here because it's not perp trading. So if your P&L goes down, you just wait for it to go back up, all whilst you're farming XP. You mint your XSOL, you can either keep it in your wallet or you can go and deposit it into other DeFi protocols, which actually can mean you can get eligible for their drops at the same time, which is nuts. So if you're feeling like you want to take that additional step, you can do that. If you'd like to be less risky with this, you can actually mint some stable coins or the staked version of the stable coin. And then one rewards you with a yield, the other rewards you with XP. Any sort of engagement with Hylo is going to build your XP. So there are a couple of opportunities there. I think it's a sleek, slick project. It's got a good backing. It's providing a product that actually works right now, which is pretty bullish. So they're not trying to sell you something that is vaporware. This is a working DeFi protocol on Solana with a points program, and you can get exposure to it and start earning XP right now with Sol or with stable coins. So read the guide on CryptoManiaks.com, go and get stuck in and let us know what you think. This is a great airdrop. I'm farming it myself, and I'm pretty bullish.
Amazing. Yeah, I think that it's definitely one to check out for people who own Solana or hold some Sol tokens. I will be checking it out myself as well, but it seems really straightforward. And I do want to reiterate that I think Solana is still the best blockchain for all Web3 and DeFi activities. Maybe someday it won't be. Right now it is. So most projects here, there are risky and scam projects here and there, but Hylo is one to worth at least checking out if you're a Solana holder.
Solana makes the most revenue, right? Even though its
Yeah.
its fees are much lower than Ethereum's, it makes much more revenue. So by revenue, Solana's a top chain. What are we talking about next, mate?
Well, look, I want to talk about narratives, and I want to tell you the next crypto narrative that's gonna 100x your investment. No, I'm not. So that would be a lie. And we don't want to lie to you. We don't know the next 100x narrative, but we do know what's trending right now and which trend will likely increase in the next coming months. So that's fan tokens. If you're a football fan or you're a sports fan, you probably have heard of this. Different clubs and teams, they're releasing their own tokens, cryptocurrencies. They usually don't have any long-term utility, mostly speculative. Some of them allow fans to get like tickets to different football or soccer matches, get fan experiences, but mostly they are not in terms of finance, in terms of decentralized finance, they don't have any big utility. But the 2026 FIFA World Cup is 6 months away, and this is the time when fan tokens really start heating up. When I'm talking right now, second week of January, if you look at the CoinGecko chart, several fan tokens from national teams like Portugal, Argentina, and maybe Brazil as well, they've surged like over 30% or 40%. So that's huge for this market. And it looks like this trend is starting up early. 4 years ago, when there was the 2022 World Cup in Qatar, it was held in November, and in October, I think one of the most traded tokens was Santos, the Brazilian club's fan token. And that's because people thought Brazil was a really hot favorite to win that World Cup. And that token speculatively, like almost, seen a massive surge. So I'm not saying the same thing is going to happen this time, but the likelihood is great, because FIFA president did say they're also going to launch a dedicated FIFA coin, whatever that is. There's no details, but he did promise it. So we might see a FIFA cryptocurrency coming up just before the World Cup. So that narrative will heat up soon, but it is highly risky. Fan tokens are very speculative, as I said, and even if there's a pump, the window of opportunity is very tight. So if you're not looking into speculative plays, almost like a gambling bet, these will not be tokens or narratives for you to follow. This is only for very highly risk tolerant traders who want to look into the next trending narratives that's going to potentially pump it up quite soon. But fan tokens, we have a guide on that if you want to read through it. If you are a football fan who is betting for your team in the next World Cup, do check this narrative out. Well, if you're not that risky, if you don't want to do any, this trending tokens narratives, but you want a simple token and a simple strategy that's gonna passively earn you rewards every week or every month, albeit as a small amount, I think, Alex, you have a really good, really good token.
I love how
to talk about.
polite you're being there. When I describe this particular project as boring, right? I remember writing that sometimes boring projects are actually incredibly bullish because it's infrastructure that nobody knows, or very few people know, how an email gets sent. You just know you get an email. Like the plumbing and the pipes of blockchain, they're really important, yeah, but like I don't care, it's boring. so one area, it's perhaps the best product market fit for crypto, stablecoins, I find the most boring. Sorry, they just are. The whole point of them is to be boring. Now, that is changing towards the end of last year and this year, because people are starting to create yield-bearing stablecoins that are going to level the playing field and hopefully topple the duopoly of Circle's USDC and Tether's USDT. Now, the stablecoin I want to tell you about is Global Dollar from Paxos. Paxos are known for Paxos Gold and a previous stablecoin. They're huge. So they're regulated. They are safe. They are boring. But they're going to give 97% of their revenue back to liquidity providers and ecosystem participants. How much revenue does Tether give? How much revenue does Circle give? Do you want to guess? Is it zero? I think it's zero, right? So this is a huge disruptor. Now, when USDG, Global Dollar, launched, it launched with a network of partners. And some of those partners are centralized exchanges like Kraken and OKX. I call it OKX. To some people call it OKX, right? Because it used to have an E in it. Do you remember that? It did. It definitely did. It rebranded. Anyway, if you are low risk and you are happy to park some stables in a centralized exchange, I've got nothing against centralized exchanges. The days of them falling over ended with FTX. So if you have stables sat in USDC or USDT, go and park them in these exchanges and check out the auto earn programs, because they will offer daily, weekly, or monthly compounding interest simply for clicking an auto earn switch. It's incredible. No staking, no lockup, just flexible rewards, super easy. The APY is roughly sort of 3 to 4%, which is better than you get from a high street bank, and will hopefully offset some of the horrific inflation that the world is seeing currently. That's the safe, easy way to do it. And then for those of you who are feeling a little bit more degen, I want you to consider a couple of things. One of those things is Global Dollar is already on the Solana blockchain. So if you wanted to go decentralized, you could supply some and become a liquidity provider through a protocol like Camino. And then even further than that, if you wanted to become a provider of liquidity to a certain pair, so for instance, Global Dollar versus USDT or USDC, that you could actually go and say, I'm going to provide liquidity for both of these coins and get a much higher yield. That yield would be 3 or 4 times what you'd get from the centralized equivalents. There are some risks involved in that, and that's quite technical and difficult to do. I'm just letting you know what your options are. You could go right middle of the road, just supply some in Camino and earn a higher yield. It's totally up to you. But something to remember, stablecoin market cap is huge. Yield-bearing stablecoin market cap is growing. The stablecoins are regulated across most of the known world right now. Known world, the whole world is known. You know what I mean? It's a safe bet. So, you can go and speculate on Mo's fan tokens. You can farm yield with stable coins. You can position yourself for an airdrop with Hylo. Do the whole lot, and your portfolio is going to thank you. And this is mostly a low cost play. So that's it. That's the alpha. This was Don't Get Rekt, where we are coming at you from the trenches. We do everything we talk about here, right? That's really important. Also, we're not sponsored or biased in any way. We're just telling you about projects we think are cool as people that have been around the block a couple of times, right? So I've been Al. This is my co-host, Mo. Thank you very much for listening. Like and subscribe, sign up to the newsletter, and we'll see you next time.